Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. Shall we see what's going on our lovely little island of Fawnhollow today? It is Sunday, so we're not really expecting much in the way of visitors, as per usual. And there's no events going on until 15th, something like that, which is strange because you would have thought 14th would be the whole, Valentine's Day thing going on. And 12th, that's also Chinese New Year or the Lunar New Year, depending on whatever you want to call it. You have an ox coming in. So that's very exciting. But anyway, hello everyone. My computer just made the weirdest noise. Right now on Fawnhallow, it's 5:02 PM on Sunday, February 7th, 2021. Nothing to really speak of today. Yeah, I don't know what my noise was. I don't know if you heard it. It was like a weird high-pitched click. Which is normally like the sound of a hard drive, like spinning up or something, which is a bit strange because I'm not using that hard drive anymore. Well, not really much, at least. It's just got storage or things I've had there for forever, to be honest. Of times gone by. But anyway, Amelia, hello dear, I got a little present for you. It's nothing too extravagant, but I think it's just a thing. Add this stylish new eyewear to your regular ensemble and voila, all eyes will be on you. What? All eyes will be on your new look, darling. Ha! Your fashion maven, Amelia. Thank you, Amelia. What did you give us then? Probably some sunglasses? Or just regular old glasses? Oval glasses. Fortunately, it doesn't really fit with this colour combination we've got right now, but thank you very much. Oh, that would be cool. If the more fashionable villagers that you have gave you clothing much that would theoretically fit your outfit, like colour coordinated and stuff like that. Man, that's probably far too much depth for, of course, Animal Crossing devs to put that in, though. Let's perhaps start with just getting more dialogue, huh? More casual dialogue. Anyway, yeah, let's, I don't know. What are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about today? Who knows? We got ages to figure it out. And by ages, I mean half an hour, which, I don't know, on the grand scheme of things, I guess that's not really a long time. Kind of depends how time warps itself, Like, when you're having fun, time just flies. When you're not having fun, it goes at a snail's pace. Something like that. Sorry about that little jump cut. I don't know what I was talking about. Anyway. Let's think of something to talk about. What's been going on? I suppose Andrew Hussey, he's released that new video game of his or something, hasn't he? It's something like, he's a very enigmatic creator, I suppose. He dropped like a trailer of something earlier this year and then just, like didn't even release the name of the video game, but now it's out, I think. I can't remember what it's called. It's like something phobia. I was going to say Phasmophobia. It's not Phasmophobia. That's entirely different ghost hunting game. Taking Twitch by, well, no longer taking Twitch by storm, but took Twitch by storm for a little bit of a while. What was it called? Hold on. I can't really find it. Cyclonials. There we go. Oh, this is the Bell Rock. I didn't need this. It's a visual novel by Andrew Hussey, if you don't know who that is. He's the person who wrote Homestuck. Not the current ongoing iteration, I think. I don't know, which is, sort of a relic, I suppose, of internet history, which you may or may not know about, depending on your activeness, or your age, I suppose, in relation to your internet usage. Oh, another golden nugget. Yeah, no, Homestuck was pretty cool. I looked into it, I read it all originally, and then, when did I start reading? I started reading it around when Act 5 started, I think. Not because of Act 5, I just randomly found it when I started reading it. But I actually had discovered it before, but I just, it was really long, and I didn't want to read it. If you don't know what Homestuck is, it's a online webcomic, webcomic, multimedia webcomic, I suppose. Which, I think, goes about the story of following essentially 4 kids and their foray into an apocalyptic event caused by a video game they play, sort of. But anyway, I was thinking of some cosmos blossoms and read that the flower's name comes from a word for harmony. I like that idea. Everything in its right place, pitter-patter. Yeah, the petals are all spaced out evenly, just like the spokes on a wheel. Can I ask you, is it fun saying that thing you say all the time? Because it makes me smile every time. Aw, that's sweet. You're free to try it out, It's not like I own pitter-patter or anything. Okay, you're on. Pitter-patter. Hey, that's fun. Now we can be pitter-patter buddies. Birdies. I don't know why I said that so weirdly. I like that mirror. No. And thus Mirror steals another catchphrase for herself. She stole someone else's catchphrase recently, but I don't remember whose. Anyway, yeah, Homestuck, it's a very in-depth story, and there's, I don't know, a spoiler warning. Well, I was going to say spoiler warning, but then now I think about it, I'm not even going to talk about spoilers. There's a lot to talk about. This is, and there's also an incredibly old webcomic, which I don't know, I think it's worth a read, to be honest. It gets, like, the first act is, like, alright, but, you know, back then it was, like, an interactive thing where users could submit commands, so it's sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure sort of game, but, like, a collaborative community project, if anything, but headlined by, if anything, I guess it's sort of like a role-playing game, with Andrew Hussey as a DM and everyone else as a community collaborating to put in actions for the main character to perform, that sort of thing. Sorry, just itching my lip, not lip, I don't know, the bit above the lip, but below the nose. It's like philtrum or something. Anyway, not really the point. Yeah. So the first act's alright. I don't really remember much about it, and it's like not incredibly gripping, I suppose. It's sort of like a hit or miss, I think, for a lot of people, because it's got a bit of a weird sense of antics and humour. But hey, hold on a second. Alright, I'm back. Don't worry about that. Yeah, it's not like, I don't know how to describe it, because maybe I also shouldn't be describing it because I haven't read it before. When did I read it? It was back in secondary school, even, so probably GCSE time. Excuse me, can you jump over this? Thank you. So was that 16-ish? So I read it like 7 years ago or something, so it's quite a while ago. So my memory of it is not going to be particularly good, I suppose, of it, necessarily. A lot of it I've forgotten. I just remember sort of like vague feelings I had here and there. I was like, Act 1, I was like, oh, this is a cool premise. I was like, I'm intrigued more by the premise than I was by necessarily the antics going on. The antics were amusing, just a bit strange, I suppose. I wonder if it's worth moving rock or anything. But then we have to move the mannequins. I guess we could shift the mannequins over. No! Why did I do that? Now that I think about it, can't a rock spawn there? No, maybe not. I don't really know. Oh, well, let's just keep the regular pattern going, otherwise it's going to be much more of a nuisance than, or much more of a headache to think about if I have it sporadically. At least that's what I think. I got a fossil. Yeah. But it was a really cool concept, and I still stay to this day. It's a very cool concept for an idea of a webcomic, a cool universe and the mechanics behind it, I suppose. And you can tell it's something that he definitely put a lot of thought into, because there's a lot of like callbacks, foreshadowing, that sort of thing. Like, some of it's still left ambiguous up to fans' interpretation, but I believe he's got his own idea of what the true answers are behind the scenes, as I'd imagine most authors do, but it's a very engaging sort of thing. But yeah, I guess if the humour doesn't land right for you in the first like couple of acts or so, then it probably will never land quite right for you. But it's pretty cool. It does a thing which I love a lot in storytelling, is showing the interactions between characters a lot, because just through the nature of its medium, the characters use a thing called pestalogs, which are basically like instant messaging apps, kind of like old MSN sort of thing, to communicate with each other, which reveals a lot of one-on-one conversations, and it pushes the story forward, I suppose, in a way which through the relationships of the characters is maybe how I phrase it. Which is always one of the coolest parts, I think, for me. Anyway, yeah, I suppose now is a spoiler warning, and if anything, but I don't know, it's like 10 years old, like, do you still need spoiler warnings for things which are like 10 years old? Maybe? I don't know. If you're really that concerned, just like stop watching this video and go read the entirety of it, and that'll probably take you like 2 days straight of continuous reading. So, I don't quite recommend doing it to that extent, but I do recommend reading it, you know, read like a couple of pages each day and you'll get through it eventually, or something. Just like read it like you would a book or something. It's an interesting relic of an internet era past, I suppose. Let's wrap up this fossil. Did we give a present to Bruce? I don't think we did. It was Miro we gave it to. Yes, that's right. I don't even know Bruce is in his home. Let's see. He is. Perfect. Anyway, what was I saying? Something about Homestuck. I don't know, I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, like a short premise of it is, it's about these 4 kids. John, Rose, Dave and Jade. And they're all planning to play this game called Spurb together, which is a very strange name, I'm not going to lie, but it's like Spurb Beta or something. And then inexplicably, like, the apocalypse starts happening, and then it turns out that by using the game mechanics in Spurb, they can escape to, like, the game universe, I guess. They can, like, warp their house, basically, to the game universe to escape the oncoming meteor apocalypse, which is happening on Earth right now. Which is, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And what's interesting about this game universe is like custom made, custom tailored, I suppose, to each and every single one of them, where they each have a specific role, I suppose, to play. They each get sent to a planet, which is specifically created to, I suppose, help them grow as a person, but also custom to tailor to their personality. So it takes into account of things they like, things they dislike, and things that that they need to work on, I suppose, and encapsulates that in a story depending on the role they play. And I was like, oh, that's a, you know, it's a really cool concept, and I think it's a concept which because Andrew Hussey did a very nice balance of leaving things rather open-ended and also giving you just enough information that it's really the sort of medium which, not medium, but sort of story which definitely spawns a lot of fan theories and discussions in that sort of vein. Because it's really something which, of course, is never going to be a correct answer for, oh my god, this bear is one of these awkward shape sizes which can't really fit to the grid pattern very well. Why? Nintendo, did you make 1.5s by 1.5s? Nonsensical. Do we need any of this stuff? No, I think we'll just put it away. And then sell the rest of them, and we'll be putting... Oh no, we need to sort of flowers, that's what I was doing here. Yeah, oh, excuse my stomach. It's a really, really cool concept. It's, you know, it's having like a sort of... I suppose it's sort of like isekai, like anime genre, like alternate reality anime genre, which is also popular right now with like well, before, I mean I'm not sure, I think the isekai genre sort of stopped now, or like the boom, but you know, things of like kind of Subarashi, whatever that anime's called, and a lot of others about escaping into a game world or whatnot. Yeah, and I suppose it fits into that sort of genre. It's very interesting and very enticing, I suppose, especially for teenager trying to, you know, I suppose a lot of teenagers always try and find their own escape into things, and that's sort of giving an alternate world with an intriguing character and premise. Really does sort of tickle those fancies, eh? Where should his mum go? Probably here. I think that's an okay place for it to go. Yeah, it's just cool, I suppose. Interesting, to say the least. Anyway, yeah, there's like 12 different, like, they each have a different role, quite quick to play, which is determined by one of 12 classes combined with another one of 12 aspects. So, for example, spoilers, I suppose our first character we meet, Mr. John, I forgot his surname, Egbert, is a air of breath, which I don't know, there's no fan theories of what that's meant to mean, but things like that, just like titles, I suppose, which they can choose to, and they have like their own quest, I suppose, to sort of grow into, not grow into, but become those titles. I don't know why I didn't put the white flowers down. Just completely forgot, if anything, I suppose. And Balmacan. Yeah, and then each of our planets are always custom made towards them to reflect upon the class aspect, as it's called, the combination of class and aspect they have, as well as stuff to do with their own personality and room for growth and that sort of thing. And reading all their fan theories about it is almost as interesting as actually reading it itself. But anyway. Oh yeah, I forgot we moved this forward. I don't know if we want to move this forward or not. I mean, maybe this one should be back, but that one can stay out, I suppose. Maybe this one. I'd like to pull this in more, but then it's going to block the farming point for this, so maybe we should do it like this. But maybe then this one should move out a bit. This one can't move out. At least not like this. Ah, that's so annoying. The lack of symmetry is going to annoy me, so I think we should just pull this back in. It's going to annoy me more than the lack of interesting design, I suppose, that's going on. But yeah, I guess we'll carry on putting... oh, let's put these flowers down then and put the mannequins down, of course. Let's not forget what we're doing. We could put Lily here. Put a Hyacinth here. Yeah, and I always found it, like, the premise of it very interesting, intriguing, because I love coming up with stories and realities and ideas in my mind, that sort of thing. So it was a thing where I used to come up with, like, theories of, like, if me and my group of friends back in secondary school at that time were to go into the Homestuck sort of universe, play their game of Spurb as well, like, what sort of class specs will we end up, what sort of planets will we end up with, how would a story pan out? Don't know how the story would pan out, but let's think about it. There's lots of things where each wow, this Dung Beetle was hard at work. Character has a certain has different properties, I suppose. Not properties, but like traits of things. So you've got the classes, you've got the aspects, you've got what weapon they use, what planet they end up on. They've got something called a sprite, which is basically their sort of like guardian, I suppose, on the planet. The guardian NPC, which helps them out. Like all these sort of different things which help create a lot of different variations, I suppose, of characters, which, you know, is exactly what people like to see in these sort of people in fandoms like to see this sort of thing, so they can create their own stories and narratives themselves, I suppose. Which is why probably appealed especially to the Tumblr crowd at the time. If you were on Tumblr back then, which I wasn't really active, I sort of just like browsed, I suppose. I mean, I suppose now I still just sort of browse, but it really appealed to that sort of community, and it took it over by storm, and I suppose, yeah, that sort of happened. Anyway, yeah, it's a really, really cool story, and you get to see their adventures unfold, and them trying to do their quests, and trying to do other stuff. And then you also, later on, spoilers about Act 5, you get to meet, you get to see, I guess, it starts going into more of the crux of what Spurb actually is, and spoilers, Spurb is sort of a way to as I remember, it's a way to sort of destroy past universes and then recreate new ones from the death of the last one or something, because that's a big premise in the game. Is this overarching plot for all the players to do is to this ongoing battle between a white army and a black army, meant to be representative of chess pieces, and creating something called a Genesis Frog, which is basically the new universe which is creating. So then you get to see the race of, not people, but a race called trolls or whatever, who created the universe, who created the Earth, who created Earth and its universe, and their game of Spurb, or equivalent of Spurb, which they played, and how their adventures went to create the Earth, and their antics, and how it didn't quite go to plan, because how it almost worked and then it didn't, and that sort of thing. Spoilers like that. I won't spoil anything. Anyway, visuals are pretty popular. You've probably seen them online if you browse the internet, like, at all during the 2010s or whatever. Grey screen creatures, they got like candy corn horns. Those are the distinctive features. 1, 2, yeah, but it's interesting, you know, because that's when I think it really kicks up the world building aspect, I suppose, of that story, and it really, I suppose, puts everything in a new sort of light, and you can sort of see the foreshadowing and how everything feels like it's not necessarily falling into place, but there's now intrigue, I suppose, behind each and every action behind it, because then it sort of starts you asking a lot of other questions, like, well, okay, so then who created the Trolls world, and then what world other people were watching going to create, and then stuff like that, and are they going to succeed, because at the time when you're watching, you're sort of like, oh, it's a bit tenuous right now, what they're doing, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to prevail or not, and then big events happen, and you're like, what is going on? Hold on, I need to count this out. 1, 2, blop, 1, 2, blop, 1, 2, blop, right here, right now. Of course, I'm talking about Cascade, and it's just like, what? It's like crazy plans. Like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, every so often they'll have like an animated panel, I suppose, is the best way to put it. Or like, instead of having just a regular old image, they have they have like an animated flash detailing the events of whatever's happening. We don't need to put one here. There's not enough room here. Detailing the events as they unfold in a very spectacular sort of fashion. And every single time that one happens, it's always like, ooh, this is crazy. And there's one very famous one near the end of Act 5 called Cascade, which is very infamous. I think it's near the end of Act 5, I can't quite remember. Yeah, it's called Cascade, and it's very infamous for being like mind-blowing at the time it came out. But there's one moment in it which blows my mind every single time, so mild spoilers for this, but it's when Jade like increases the size of a window thing, and then the actual flash window itself increases in size. And I'm just like, wow, that blew my mind when I first watched it. Anyway, yeah, and then like, I don't know, I feel like it goes a bit downhill after Act 5, like it's sort of, not downhill as in like it's bad necessarily, but it sort of drags on, I suppose, a bit. And the story becomes a bit muddled. But I think Act 5 was around its peak. And then, you know, you see some other stuff happening, you get to see, you know, more characters, that sort of thing. It does get to a point where there's a bit of an oversaturation in characters, I must say. Like, I myself, I love a sort of motley crew of characters, all being introduced of all different personalities. But, you know, once you get to, like, I don't know at what point it becomes too difficult or too many characters for you to really develop them, but I suppose it definitely started happening at some point to Homestuck. Okay, let me think. 1, 2, blomp. 1, 2, about here. Seems right. Yeah, I don't know about the critical masses of characters where it starts becoming, you can't flesh out all these characters anymore. Because Homestuck had the main 4 kids. They had 12 characters plus 4 more plus another 12 eventually. Like, those 12 were definitely not fleshed out. They were very sort of just like surface level overarching traits, which, you know, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because not every character can be fleshed out. But then it sort of starts being like, ooh, this is a lot. This is not in the right place. I never realised it was grid misaligned. Just counting things out carefully. Because, like, all 4 kids are pretty well fleshed out. I mean, you might argue that one of the kids gets a lot less screen time than the others, I suppose, and, you know, it's kind of true. But they still have a good amount of character development, I suppose. And then they have the 12 trolls, and even at that point, I feel like some of the characters definitely got shafted. But, you know, it's not, like, shafted as in it wasn't intentional, because I think he said himself, Andrew Hussey said himself, that some characters are just meant to be like not throwaway characters, but like jokey characters, and not meant to be of significant importance to the plot. They're just there, I suppose, to round up the numbers, which, you know, I respect and understand that. But I do feel like it's, for my very limited and unsubstantiated knowledge of writing stories, I'm like, it feels like lost potential. When you have like little seeds of intriguing characters or designs or stories going on, it always feels a bit sad when it's sort of like, this character's just been relegated because, you know, you just can't flesh them all out. Sort of like, if only. Okay, we need to think about where to put mannequins here. To ensure we don't have a catastrophic rock growing where it shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely before that point. Are these all misaligned? These are all misaligned. I was like, what? They're all half a square off. How has this happened? Does that mean this one's half a square off? This one's half a square off then. And that means this one's half a square off. Oh, this one is definitely half a square off. Whoops. Oh, so this was aligned all along. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to doubt you. Yeah, but it's a really interesting story. Like, we had a circle of about 12 friends, I suppose, in secondary school. To be fair, I'm still friends with most of them, like Ali and all those sort of people. And I came up with like the 12 different, because they only had 12 classes and aspects which were confirmed in canon, I suppose. And it was interesting coming up with planets for each of my friends, and then what class and aspect they would be. That sort of thing, you know. So I got a little bit distracted. yeah, I don't know really if I had anything else on to add, I suppose. I'm not like professional story analysis, that's not a word, analyzer. So I don't think it's particularly fair for me to critique it on a story basis, especially when I don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm just saying, all I suppose is my conclusion in the end is I liked it. It was an intriguing premise and setting, I suppose, for a story, which sparked a lot of creative imagination in me, I suppose, in my teenage years. Coming up with my own stories, I suppose, while also taking place in that sort of, not the same universe that you created, but like a adjacent, the same universal mechanics, but in a different universe. That's probably how I should put it. I already visited this today. For some reason, I thought I didn't. So we're just going to leave that. I didn't close my notepad, that's why. Threw me off. I remember though, we saw Lucky KK, didn't we? Anyway. Yeah, there's not really much else for me to add for it. It's just an interesting read, I suppose. Maybe, I don't know how well it's aged or anything. I remember I was talking to Melchior about it and he was like, maybe we should do a reread of it at some point. I was like, oh, that seems like a good idea, except for it's a lot of reading. I'm not saying that reading's a bad thing or anything. Contrary to that, to be honest, reading is a fantastic thing to do, but it's sort of like you don't always got the time to commit to it. It's not like back in secondary school when you know, I could just use an entire afternoon just reading Homestuck for no apparent reason. Not no apparent reason, obviously I enjoyed it, but still it was just like I've got stuff to do now, you know. Can't do that anymore. The greatest tragedy. But it's still cool. If anything, I shouldn't go back to that. My own, I suppose, alternate fan universe. You know, the one I said where I was like, oh, I was imagining, it's like, oh, what if we played Spurb? Who would we be? What would our classes and that sort of thing be? It's a lot harder to think about nowadays. Because it's all based on speculation, I suppose, and stereotypes. I know my friends pretty well, I suppose. Be an interesting thought to see how it might have changed. Or we might have changed, I suppose, over the years. Whether that is accurately depicted in that sort of thing, but I don't know. I suppose that sort of thing's just moved on. That sort of part of me has moved on to Myers-Briggs and Enneagram, stuff like that. Or I can just get them to answer the quiz for me, you know? Is that the same? No, not really. I suppose it doesn't have that fantasy aspect of it, which I do deeply like a lot, but still, you know, it just scratches a different itch. Or, no, it scratches a similar itch. Is this 2 squares? That is 2 squares. But through a different medium, I suppose. But no, I suppose long story short, it's kind of cool. He's released a visual novel. That's now come out. I don't know if it's free or whatever. I don't know. I'll check it at some point. Because I do like his storytelling. I think one thing he does incredibly well is... Did I mention this before? I feel like I said this before already, but he does incredibly well is a lot of foreshadowing. Just like, as I understand it, the way he does it is he leaves a lot of like little hooks, I suppose, in his past stories, which he doesn't necessarily know how it's going to pan out entirely yet, but he can leave them there as like little things that he can hook back onto in a future point of a story. Like there's 2 sets of characters he referenced incredibly early on into the comic, and then when we met them, we're like, what? Look, they're on this poster in this guy's room back in like Act 1. Like obviously he didn't necessarily know who those characters were, he just knew they were likely to be characters that would appear in the future somewhat, but when he saw the opportunity for them to be the character they are, he put them in. I was like, oh, fantastic. What a nice way to do storytelling. It's sort of gives that same effect of the mind-blowing aspect of being like, what? I can't believe it felt like the author planned this all from the beginning, while not necessarily having to plan the entire thing from the beginning. Not saying it's a bad thing to plan it all out from the beginning, but it's quite difficult, and you know, things change, things adapt. You're not always necessarily certain how things might end up, so it's a bit of a sort of foolish endeavour, I suppose. Well, I would guess. I don't know. I've never written this. Oh, actually, it's not true. I have written this story. That's a story for another time. Wait, actually, I feel like it's a story I already told. I already talked about NaNoWriMo, right? Probably talked about it in November. I don't know, that was ages ago. You can repeat stories here. Who's got a memory for 100 episodes back? Not me. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Adam Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, all greatly appreciated. Join my Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. I hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.